That Supreme Court showdown. The president's nominee, Judge Brett Kavanaugh, and his accuser, both invited to testify on Capitol Hill Monday, a high-stakes hearing. Everything on the line for Kavanaugh, a huge test for President Trump. And our senior national correspondent, Terry Moran, starts us off from the Supreme Court. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, George. This is shaping up to be one of the most dramatic moments in a Washington hearing room in decades. Both Judge Brett Kavanaugh and his accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, called to testify before the Senate Judiciary Committee in public under oath next Monday. Judge Kavanaugh has accepted the invitation, says he wants to defend his integrity. The committee is still waiting to hear formally from Blasey Ford. But should it happen, this is going to boil down to her word against his, a credibility contest. Supreme Court nominee Judge Brett Kavanaugh and the woman accusing him of sexual assault decades ago have been called to testify publicly before lawmakers next Monday, delaying a key vote on Kavanaugh and the future of the High Court. While President Trump defended his nominee on Monday,
he is one of the great intellects and one of the finest people that anybody has known.
He also uncharacteristically called for patience.
They'll go through a process and hear everybody out. I think it's important. If it takes a little delay, it'll take a little delay.
One Republican senator on the committee says Kavanaugh's accuser deserves to be heard, and he wouldn't have voted for Kavanaugh otherwise.
What I just insisted on is that we not have a vote. I would have voted no this week, absent her being able to tell her story. And so I'm glad she's going to be able to.
Kavanaugh's accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, a psychology professor in California, seen here in this yearbook photo from the period when she claims Kavanaugh assaulted her, told the Washington Post Kavanaugh pinned her to a bed and groped her. When she tried to yell, Blasey Ford told the Post, Kavanaugh clapped his hand over her mouth to silence her. He was trying to attack me and remove my clothing, she says, adding, I thought he might inadvertently kill me. She says she managed to escape. Kavanaugh has categorically denied the accusation. Blasey Ford alleges the assault happened while Kavanaugh attended an elite boys' school in suburban Maryland. Georgetown Preparatory School, located on a sprawling campus, bills itself as America's oldest Catholic boarding school. Allies of Kavanaugh released statements from two of his former girlfriends, both of whom pushed back on the allegations. Maura Fitzgerald saying, he was always a perfect gentleman, and I vouch for him completely. This morning, a number of women who have attended Blasey Ford's private all-girls high school, Holton-Arms, are circulating a letter in support of her. They say over 400 alumni, including many who do not know Blasey Ford, have signed a letter that reads, her experience is all too consistent with stories we heard and lived while attending Holton. Many of us are survivors ourselves. Actress Julia Louis-Dreyfus tweeting, I was class of '79, and signed this letter. Another alumna who attended the school in the 1990s and says she signed the letter tells ABC News she believes Blasey Ford.
I just want to say to her, to Dr. Ford, that we have your back. And I think that's very much the Holton-Arms way.
Blasey Ford has told friends she's been trying to forget this incident her whole life, according to a story in the local newspaper. She says she's bracing for attacks on her credibility, but she also says, the newspaper says, that she was inspired to come forward this summer by all the women who have done so in the Me Too movement. George?
Okay, Terry, thanks very much. Screen our legal team right now, our chief legal analyst, Dan Abrams, our senior legal correspondent and analyst, Sunny Hostin. And as we said, Dr. Blasey Ford has not yet agreed to testify formally. Democrats are saying you have to have an FBI examination before a public hearing. Why would that be important?
Well, look, for the Democrats, they would say that they want the FBI to follow leads. They want to talk to witnesses, et cetera. The FBI is not investigating a crime here. What the FBI is doing is effectively a background check. And what the Democrats want is that investigation to continue. And the issue is going to be, does that investigation move forward? Do they spend a lot more time on that? Or does this simply become a question of watching him testify again and potentially her?
And you think she has no choice?
She has no choice. She has to testify. But I think it's very important that the background check continue. When I was a federal prosecutor, I was only looking at a 3-year appointment. This is a lifetime appointment. The FBI went to my former neighborhood and interviewed my neighbors. I hadn't lived there since I was 16 years old, George. And so this is a very, very serious background investigation that needs to continue.
One of the points that Republican defenders of Kavanaugh has made is he's had these background checks several times for federal judgeships, for working in the White House, and this never came up.
Yes, but this is also different. this is also different. This is a lifetime appointment to the Supreme Court. Character matters. And this woman's bravery, I think, coming forward is extremely important. And to those people that I keep on hearing saying things like, well, this happened in high school. He was only 17 years old. Well, guess what? In Maryland and states all across the country, for sexual assault, we do criminalize 16-year-olds. You can go to prison for that.
That gets to the question, if this hearing happens on Monday, they're both up there, they both tell their story to the country, what will be the standard of proof for Kavanaugh?
I think Sonny's right, that the notion that, oh, you can sort of dismiss this and say it happened 35 years ago, because what the standard is going to be is today, do they believe Kavanaugh's telling the truth? He's the one up there. He's the one who's up for the appointment. He's the one who's accused. And he's going to be the one that they're focusing on in terms of his credibility. Do they believe he's telling the truth? And remember, unlike in a trial where you're told, do not read things, do not let people affect your opinion, here public opinion is going to matter enormously as to whether they believe him and do they believe her.
And flip that around, Sonny, but if they both testify, to vote for Kavanaugh, you're going to have to, at some level, be saying, she's not telling the truth.
You must disbelieve her. Exactly. And I think she's very much on trial here. I have interviewed hundreds of crime victims, especially victims of sexual assault. This is one of the most difficult things they can do. And this woman is not only doing it, she's not doing it in a court of law, she's doing it on the world stage. So for her to come forward and put her credibility, I think, on the line is extremely significant, considering that we're in the Me Too movement.
It sounds
right
like
now.
The defense here is going to be, maybe she thinks that this happened, right? Maybe she believes that this happened. Could it have been a case of mistaken identity? Could there be other explanations? But the point is that exactly what happened 35 years ago, where did it happen, what was the date, et cetera, becomes less important today, I think, than simply do they think that Judge Kavanaugh is telling the truth.
It sounds like this is going to be a huge gut check for the Senate and the country.
Absolutely. And let's face it, on the GOP side, you have older white men only interviewing this woman. I think that that is an optic that the GOP has to be very careful about.
We'll see. Thank you both very much. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.